The NASCAR Cup Series heads at Talladega Speedway for the first time this season, and we see a lot of chaos, a lot of craziness, a lot of single file, and we see a driver pick up their second victory of the 2022 Cup Series season. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Talladega, the Geico 500. We're going to talk about the race now. So, before the green flag drop in today's race, Noah Gragson would have to go to the rear of the field for unapproved adjustments, and Landon Castle also would have to go to the rear as well, and he would have to do a pass-through penalty once the green flag dropped due to basically having unapproved adjustments 3 times. There's issues in tech that was really nuts where they had umbrellas basically over the cars. He would have to go to the rear of the field and would have to do a pass-through penalty at the start of the race. So at the start of the green flag, Cristobal leading the field from the outside and Mark Truex Jr. on the inside. And Mark Truex Jr. allowed Cristobal to get the lead, and he was able to get the race lead. Then we started seeing some guys making some 3-wide moves. Joey Logano tried to go high to make it a third lane. Kyle Busch jumped up there, and they were able to get up there. Daniel Suarez got to the outside of Cristobal and he's able to take the race lead, and then it became a single file train for just a little bit. It kept going single file for a while, and then we saw a couple of Toyotas basically decide to go ahead after the field started packing up again. Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamill all go to the back just to make sure there wasn't a big wreck that happened. And then we started seeing pit stops happen. Tyler Reddick did not come down pit road because of green flag pit stop. He came down pit road because he had his engine letting go. The ECR engines would run into trouble throughout the day. The hood would go up on Tyler Reddick's car, and he unfortunately would fall out of this race. Then after the next lap, we see all the Fords come down pit road and all pit together, with Brad Keselowski getting a penalty for speeding entering pit road, and Cody Wurst spinning on pit road as well. Then Toyotas would come down pit road. Denny, Hamill, Mark Truex Jr., Cristobal, those guys coming down pit road, and also Alex Bowman would join them as well. Denny Hamill would slide through his pit box and had to back up his car, but was able to get it sorted out later. Then all the Chevys would come down pit road, and we would see all the other Chevys come down pit road, and then we see Ross Chastain speed, unfortunately, outside of pit road, which we'll get to him in just a little bit. Then the rest of the cars came down pit road, and after the cycle went through, Kyle Larson, who would win the race off pit road of the Chevy group, he would take the race lead, and would lead the next portion. And then we started seeing the outside lane really start making a ton of ground, and Bubba Wallace is able to basically get onto the outside lane. Then we see some cars basically go a lap down, this being Ross Chastain and Michael McDowell, who would get caught back into the pack. Ross Chastain made a really aggressive move trying to stay on the lead lap. That was almost very controversial, but there was issues right there. With 4 laps to go in stage number 1 going into turn number 3, we see some major troubles for Daniel Hemric. Daniel Hemric had something break on his car. He would basically check up, and then Austin will run into the back of him. Daniel Hemric will end up spinning out and careening right into the outside wall and collect Chase Briscoe and Chris Buescher, and also Ricky Stenhouse Jr. bringing out the caution in this race. Because of this, it was unclear if Bubba Wallace or Kyle Larson were leading this race. Well, they declared that Bubba Wallace had won. I wasn't really sure who had the lead. I thought maybe Larson had the lead, but after looking at it, I think Bubba Wallace had the lead. So Bubba Wallace would win stage 1 under caution. Right after that, all leaders would come down pit road, all of them taking 4 tires, but Erik Jones decided to take 2. We would see Kyle Busch unfortunately have to take the gas can out of his pit box and was penalized for removing equipment, so he'd have to drop to the rear of the field. So on the restart, if Kyle Larson lead from the outside and William Byron on the inside, and Kyle Larson's able to clear the lead. Then Erik Jones got a really big push from Bubba Wallace, but Kyle Larson's able to eventually clear. It was back and forth between Erik Jones and Kyle Larson for a little bit. I think then Erik Jones cleared Larson eventually. The next caution race come out lap 82 for Gray Biffle, who was slow in turn number 4 with no power. They've had really big issues with the ECR plant throughout the season. He would unfortunately fall out of this race. We see all leaders come down pit road with all of them taking fuel only, except a couple guys like Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, and Austin Dillon all take, I think, 2 or 4 tires on their pit stops. So on the restart, William Byron lead the field from the inside, and Mark Truex Jr. on the outside. And we go green for a second, and then on that same lap, BJ Cloud would spin into turn 2 after losing a right rear wheel. Caution would come out for that, and BJ Cloud's pit crew chief and his couple pit crew members are going to be suspended for 4 races. So they unfortunately would go many laps down. They would stay in the race, but would go many laps down. So then on the restart, a few laps later, William Byron lead the field from the outside and Chase Elliott on the inside. On the restart, we would see basically what Hendrick Motorsports have been doing throughout pretty much most of the day, where they all got to the bottom. Well, Mark Truex Jr. basically checked up, trying to let them in, and it became a checkup situation, and Joey Logano got basically pushed really hard from the back by Bubba Wallace, and would trigger the really really big one of the big ones of the day. Joe got to get a big push from Bubba Wallace and hit the outside wall really, really hard. Then he creamed back up the track and collect Austin Cindric, Brad Keselowski got some damage in that. Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, Cole Custer, Ty Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Daniel Suarez would all get involved in the wreck. And then on the restart, a few laps later, Mark Truex Jr. lead the field back to the grid on the outside with William Byron on the inside, and Mark Truex Jr. was able to get the race lead. Meanwhile, Cole Custer was basically slow on the backstretch with some damage, but they're able to keep it green. Then a few laps later, the next caution in this race to come out for Cody Ware. Cody Ware would basically spin off coming down the finish line and got a huge push from David Ragan, and Cody Ware hit the outside wall really, really hard, bringing out the yellow in this race. Seemed like David Ragan just unfortunately got into the back of him and got Cody Ware in the inside wall. And then we saw the guys come down pit road, and a couple people unfortunately get some issues. Chris Bell would get a penalty for speeding on pit road, and then Bubba Wallace would also have to come back down pit road before the green flag drop for a loose wheel and change all 4 tires. So on the restart, you have William Byron lead the field from the outside and Chase Elliott on the inside, and William Byron was able to clear for the race lead. With only 10 laps to go at this point, it was very clear is this potentially was going to be a race to the end of the stage. It was basically all 15 cars would line up on the bottom, and then the outside really started making a hard charge there. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick started making a push on the outside, and Ross Chastain jumped up front. Mark Truex Jr. then tries to get to the outside there on the last lap of stage number 2 and tries to get past all 4 HMS cars, but is not able to happen, and Mark Truex Jr. basically tries to go to the middle, making 3 wide. Doesn't happen, though, and William Byron will come off the corner and win stage 2 here at Talladega. And then all leaders came down pit road with a couple basically taking 2 while the rest took 4. So on the restart, Eric Jones lead from the inside and Kyle Busch on the outside, and Kyle Busch was able to get the race lead with a push from Ryan Blaney. Then Kyle Busch got clear, and Ryan Blaney got a huge push, and he was able to basically get the lead. Then Bubba Wallace pushed Ryan Blaney, and he was able to clear for the lead at the time. Then we basically see some issues for the outside lane where guys basically were getting huge damage, including Austin Cindric was basically holding up the outside lane, and everyone scooted to the bottom. And then Bubba Wallace and Kyle Busch abandoned Ryan Blaney, and Bubba Wallace got the race lead with around 38 laps to go, and he was able to keep the lead. And then pit stops basically started happening here with around 30 laps to go, with Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric, Michael McDowell, Eric Almirola all coming down pit road, with Brad Keselowski for the second time today getting a speeding penalty coming into pit road. Then all the Hendrick cars, and I think Eric Almirola and Denny Hamill came down pit road the next lap, and then all the rest of the cars basically came down pit road with them exiting. Meanwhile, Christabel and Kyle Busch would have some contact coming off of pit road, and Christabel would spin, but no caution would come out. And after the green flag exchange, Denny Hamill basically got the race lead, and he was able to get the lead off of pit road and keep it. Then we started to see some traffic come in where Christabel almost got caught, and then Kyle Larson made a great aggressive move to the outside and was able to clear for the lead. We saw some guys trying near the end of the race because the question is, were you going to be able to make the move? Well, with 4 laps to go, around 10 laps to go in the race, we saw guys trying to make it 3 basically side by side. William Byron and Eric Jones jump in front and Chase Elliott to join the high lane, but Kyle Larson kept the low lane and was able to keep the lead. Then with a few laps to go in this race, Kyle Larson kept the race lead. And then with 3 laps to go, Kurt Busch goes to the middle 3 wide, with Eric Jones actually clearing Kyle Larson with around 3 or 4 laps to go. Kyle Larson behind Eric Jones at the time. And we see Denny Hamlin unfortunately run out of gas, continuing the bad season for Denny Hamlin. On the last lap of the race, they're coming to the white flag. Eric Jones has the lead over Kyle Larson. Kurt Busch tries to make it 3 wide, and Kyle Larson tries to go to the outside. Basically, at this point, it's a question is when is Kyle Larson going to make the move? Eric Jones has a huge lead in front of these guys, and because he has such a huge lead, he's basically a sitting duck. Kyle Larson tries to then go to the outside coming into turn number 4, but gets almost put into the outside wall. There's a big wreck behind him coming to the checker flag, and Ross Chastain gets a huge push from Austin Dillon, and coming off the corner, Ross Chastain, who was a lap down at one point, comes off the corner and picks up his second victory of the 2022 season. Like I said on the last lap, there was a big wreck between Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace at the checker flag. Both of the 2311 cars unfortunately crashed on the last lap, and Ross Chastain picks up the victory. After, like I said, being a lap down at one point in this race early in the going after a speeding penalty, Ross Chastain picks up his second victory of the year. Ross Chastain is definitely showing up right now as a championship contender, and who would have thought coming into this season that Ross Chastain would be a championship contender or would have won 2 races already in the first 10 races of the season? I didn't think that was going to be coming to be real with you. I really didn't think that was going to happen. But he bounced back and got his second win of 2022 Huge congratulations to the Trackhouse Group and Ross Chastain. So now let's go ahead and go through the results and to give you my score and thoughts of today's race. So Ross Chastain picks up the victory here today at Talladega. Austin Dillon finishes second. Austin Dillon really was quiet most of the day, but a huge bounce back race after not having such a great run at Bristol after crashing out late. Gets a very solid top 5 finish. He finishes second here. Good run for Austin Dillon. Kyle Busch finishes third despite his issues late in this race. He ends up getting a good top 5 finish. Again, Kyle Busch is definitely an underdog for the championship right now. He's looked really good. He's been finishing top 5 and top 10 in many of these races. Good run for Kyle Busch. He finishes third. Kyle Larson finishes fourth. I did not think coming in this weekend that Kyle Larson would get a top 5 on a super speedway. This is the best I've seen Kyle Larson perform this year or ever on a super speedway in the near 10 years that I've been watching the NASCAR Cups. 10 years I've watched him in the Cup Series. Haven't seen Larson perform this good. And I think that momentum is really starting to finally build, and it's really starting to happen for Kyle Larson. Great run from him. He finishes fourth and nearly won a stage today too. Huge points for him. Mark Truex Jr. finishes fifth. Very solid run for Mark Truex Jr. He's another guy that generally struggles on super speedways, but he was quiet most of the day and gets a very solid top 10, top 5. Good run from MTJ. Eric Jones finishes sixth. What could have been for him, man? Eric Jones definitely had one of the best cars today, in my opinion. He was really, really fast. It looked like he was actually going to win the race, but does get a good top 10. You definitely should have had him as one of your people in your bet, but a good solid top 10 for Eric Jones regardless. Chase Elliott finishes 7th. Chase Elliott was also up front most of the day and finished where he probably should have around that top 10 range. Gets a good top 10 finish. He finishes in 7th. And I think he's going to still be the points leader as well, so good point save for him as well. Michael McDowell with another top 10 finish. How about that? I think that's Michael McDowell's second top 10 in a row here. So good run for Michael McDowell and a great day as well for him. Good day. He finishes in 8th. Alex Bowman finishes 9th. Alex Bowman was quiet most of the day, but he is clicking off top 10 after top 10 after top 10 and has been way more consistent. So good to see that from Alex Bowman. He finishes in 9th. Kevin Harvick finishes 10th, a guy that's been pretty decent at super speedways throughout his career. He's won your Talladega in the past, so to see him get a top 10 is pretty nice. He finishes in 10th. Ryan Blaney finishes 11th. Ryan Blaney definitely was one of the people I thought was going to be more of a contender than he was, but does get a very solid top 15 finish regardless. He gets an 11th place finish. Justin Haley finishes 12th. He was up front near the end of the race. He was in the top 5 or down 5 or 6 laps to go. Once all the chaos happened, he unfortunately dropped back. But he does get a top 15 finish, which is much needed for that 31 team. Eric Almirola finishes 13th. Not a bad run from Eric Almirola. Definitely having a much better year this year than last year. He's been more consistent throughout this year and gets top 15. Corey LaJoie in our top 15 finish. How about that? Corey LaJoie really was quiet most of the day, but he always finds a way to be up front at the end of these races and gets top 15 finish. Good run for him. William Byron finishes 15th. Byron probably should have finished higher than he did, but at least he finished the race. And hey, all the Hendrick cars finished in the top 15. They're the only organization that they can say that they finished in the top 15. So not a bad run for William Byron. He was up the front near the end of the race. There's nothing he can do here. Kurt Busch, after crashing out, finishes 16th. Kurt Busch should have a good day going, though. A solid top 20 for him. But man, it would have been cool seeing that 45 go to victory lane, but he finishes in 16th. Bubba Wallace finishes 17th. That doesn't really show how good that 23 was today. Bubba had a top 5 car today. And if not for unfortunately dropping in the back and not having a chance to get up there, no one willing to work with him there, I think he could have contended for the victory and almost got a second straight victory at Talladega. But he does get a top 20. This might help him in the points because he did get a lot of points today, so shouldn't lose too much ground on the playoff group. Probably wanted to finish better, but a 17th place for him regardless for Bubba Wallace. Denny Hamill finishes 18th. The season woes continue for Denny Hamill, who ran out of gas near the end of the race. Denny Hamill has not really had a great year this year. He's only had one top 10 finish. It looked like he was essentially going to get a top 10 or even a top 5 finish today, but he finishes in 18th. Definitely unfortunate, and that season just continues. He has had a horrendous year. He finishes in 18th. Landon Cassill with a very solid top 20 finish. How about that for Landon? He finished, I think, in the top 10 yesterday in spinning race, so good run for him. He finishes in 19th. Noah Gragson, in only his third start of the year, I believe, fourth start, I should say, this year, finishes 20th with Beer Motorsports. Was quiet most of the day. Beer Motorsports tends to get good finishes though near the end. They get a top 20. Good run from Noah Gragson to that really nice looking Wendy's car. Austin got her damage early, finishes 21st. Christopher, with his issues, finishes 22nd. Brad Keselowski, man, my pick to win coming in this race, had issues with speeding throughout the race and finishes 23rd. Not a good run from Brad Keselowski, finishing 23rd. David Reagan finishes in 24th. J.G. Lee finishes in 25th. 26th for B.J. McLeod. 27th for Todd Gillen. 28th for Cody Ware. 29th for Cole Custer. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. thought was more a threat today. Got involved in that wreck early. 31st place finish for Daniel Suarez. 32nd for Joey Logano. 33rd for Ty Dillon, who was really good early, just unfortunately got involved in that big wreck. Harrison Burton finished as 34th. 35th for Gray Biffle with his engine issues. 36th for Daniel Hemrick. 37th for Chase Briscoe. 38th for Chris Buescher. And Tyler Reddick finished his last and 39th place. So now let's go ahead and go through the race review and talk about my score of today's race and give you my thoughts overall. So my opinion of today's race, I thought was really, really good. Yes, we're a little bit strained out near the end of the race, but these guys are trying to click off laps, and they're trying to be safe. I thought this was a really good showing for the next-gen car. It was a really fun race to watch. Yes, like I said, there was a lot of single file up points, but there was also a lot of side-by-side as well. Especially early, there was a ton of side-by-side and a lot of fun racing. And if you had enough guys working with you, you could get a really, really good run. I really enjoyed today's race, and it was a very, very fun race. I am going to give today's race at Talladega a 9 out of 10. The only thing I wrote is a little more side-by-side racing at points throughout the race, but I understand why there wasn't. I really did enjoy this race, so for me, a 9 out of 10 for Talladega. So, anyway, that's going to be for today's race review from Talladega. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, turn notifications to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below over that and comment your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments. And congratulate Ross Chastain on picking up his second victory of the 2022 season. Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, we're going to have a news video. We're going to discuss about some interesting topics that have been happening over the weekend, and we'll discuss them here tomorrow on the channel. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. I'll see you guys next time with some more great awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.